Hey everybody, welcome back. I am KRX and we are continuing on our beginner playthrough for Europa Universalis 4. I was about to say for the Ottomans, but again, right, we're not really actually that interested with the Ottomans specifically, but how do we play the game as a whole? So this is going to be everything we're going through is things that we can take into consideration with any country, but of course we're making the decisions based on our actual ecosystem and our situation as the Ottomans. So we've decided to drill our troops. We are sort of training up our army a little bit. We've looked through most of all of our tabs and stuff. We spent quite a bit of time unpaused, but guess what, guys? Like, wow, the DLCs add multiple like layers of complexity and stuff, and there's a number of things we haven't even talked about yet that we should probably be talking about. But I'm kind of almost trying to think about how do we explore those buttons? How do we go down those routes? Is there a way that we'll be able to naturally sort of explore these things? Just moving forward here. But yeah, there's still more stuff that we actually should be looking at and managing right now before we unpause. Whether or not we do that, I don't know. We'll have to see if there's context for it, right? If there's a reason to go down that route. We have missions here to take over Asia Minor, and we also are we have a mission to take over Constantinople. Asia Minor, we already have the justification for war, so we can attack Kandar almost whenever we want. We are building up a spy network in Byzantium, Constantinople specifically, in order to get this province to complete the mission, and that will give us a further mission to conquer Greece, sort of the islands in here and stuff like that. What I'm actually realizing is we could be going to war very, very quickly with Kandar, like very quickly with Kandar. Holy cow, this is insane. Because we have these permanent claims, right? Because we have these permanent claims, we could be going to war with them ASAP. We need a diplomat to declare war, right? And it says that you must wait until December 11th, 1444 to declare wars. So it does force you to play 1 month of the game. That allows the AI to build some alliance networks and such. And actually, we want to build some alliance networks because it's actually very hard to ally people while you're at war, because people don't want to like be sort of like beholden to like a war that they're not interested in and stuff like that. So we might not actually, because what's going to happen is if we drill these troops, okay, we've set these guys to drill. If we drill these troops, then their morale will actually go down, and we'll have to recover that. In fact, I think we've yeah, so if we let these guys drill for even a day, right, their morale is going to go to 0, and they're not going to be ready for fighting. They're in like training mode, right? They're not like steady. They're not like standing ready to go. So there is a little bit of a consequence to drilling, in the sense that we need to undrill these troops when we're ready for go time. And the thing is, go time might be a little bit quicker than we thought, but we need to kind of evaluate some things. We need to wait a month. Here, let's get these guys in position. Why not? Let's play this a little bit more aggressively, maybe. Let's get these guys in position here, and we can just sort of preemptively get our troops moved around how we want. Maybe we could raise a couple of these forts back up so they're online. I don't know. I'm just thinking, right? We had these mothballed forts. Let's get them online. And you know what? Let's what the heck? Let's unpause the game. A couple of things we haven't looked at. Hopefully there'll be a little pop-up that will let us sort of explore some of these other things that we haven't taken a look at quite yet. We have a lot of moving and grooving to do with our diplomats, but we are thinking that Kandar is going to be right now they have no allies, but of course we have to unpause the game to see who they ally, to see if they're able to get any alliances. And in fact, actually, if they've rivaled Trebizond, that could be really, really good. They've rivaled Karaman, so they were not going to ally these guys. They could still ally these guys or these guys or these guys, or the weaker nation, right? It makes sense that weaker nations have a hard time allying stronger nations, because stronger nations want stronger. Like they don't want to just like be a babysitter to a weaker nation. So the Mamluks probably won't ally these guys because these guys are just too insignificant for the Mamluks to care. But they might get AQ. Hopefully they won't get QQ. And some of these other little guys, we'll be able to take care of these little guys if it's just sort of an army of little guys. But we'll have to see, right? So let's unpause the game. So we haven't unpaused the game yet, right? Brand new player, we haven't unpaused the game. We don't know what that's all about. The speeds are over here, right? We can go speed 5 is very, very fast. Speed 4 is pretty dang fast. As a new player, we're probably going to be hanging out at speed 2 or speed 3. I'm going to just go to speed 2 just so we can get a feel of that, and then we'll kind of move from there. But and hopefully we'll get this diplomat back in a bit. I mean, speed 2, things are moving. Looks like Austria, something's pop up here, saying Kingdom of Italy and the Empire. So events going on with Austria. Of course, Austria is in charge of sort of the Holy Roman Empire at the start of the game, and they're trying to sort of keep Italy as part of it and sort of expand the empire as best as they can. But that's not really that much of a concern to us. There's quite a bit of a gap between us and the Holy Roman Empire. In fact, we have a map mode, depending on where you set this, right, called the Imperial Map Mode, and this will show where the Holy Roman Empire is. So if we wanted to attack into here, we'd have to deal with this with Austria and all this other nonsense. It's kind of like a little bit of a big, massive thunder dome that's kind of protected by the emperor, but inside it's like wars can just go crazy and stuff like that in there. There we go. We have our reason to go to war with these guys. Do they have any alliances? They've allied Crimea. They've allied Crimea, and they've allied another nation. I'm just looking at their little thing here. This is, again, you click on their province and you can see a summary of their diplomacy. The other thing we could do is if we go diplomacy and we take our free diplomat. Oh, it's still not quite December 11th yet. We still can't declare yet. But what we could also do is if I don't know where Ramazan is, I see Ramazan on the map just looking around, but what we could do is we could search for him here. With F, you just hit F and it brings up the search menu. Oh, there they are. They're down here. The other way to do this, right, is to click on them and go to diplomatic map mode, and booyah, anything in blue. Crimea is an ally. They're in blue, and these guys are in blue. In fact, we actually haven't noticed what that looks like because we haven't actually allied anybody. So we only have a QQ here in purple because we've royal married them. And presumably we have a free diplomat. We probably actually need to pause the game and send this away. But we can't send them another thing until December 12th. So it looks like we're going to be fighting Crimea and Ramazan, potentially. But we'll have to kind of see exactly. There's a way that we can actually sort of evaluate what our odds are in this war and do some sort of recon a little bit before we decide to do this war. We're buttering up Poland just because. Poland, I don't think they're going to want to royal marry us because they are of the Catholic faith and we are of the Sunni faith. So we just don't want to mix like that, I guess, historically and thematically, right? So it's not going to let us royal marry Poland. That's what I was doing right there. Is just taking a quick peek again, click on Poland, hit their diplomacy tab, boom, royal marriage. They do not want to do this. It's grayed out. It actually says because the Catholic faith does not allow royal marriages with other religions. It's actually the Catholics. It's their fault. It's not the Sunnis' fault. No, our advisor has died. So we could go to see, this was the really cheap guy, right? This was the super cheap guy. He has died. He has died, but I'm actually kind of enjoying the extra income a little bit because when we get these forts online, when we raise these forts up for war, which we are going to want to do, and especially now that we know that Crimea is going to be a part of this, we're barely going to be making any money here. Barely. We got our troops slowly sort of moving over. Let's start to do, okay, we can get the alliance. Okay, our diplomat is back again. It's past December. We're already into January, so we should be able to get the alliance on these guys. Oh, we have the alliance. Did they ask us? Did we ask them? I guess we did ask them, didn't we? We could look around for more people to ally because this is looking a little shaky right now. I mean, we could ally like the Great Horde, potentially. That could be decent. They're allied with Nogai. That's actually really good. And they're allied with Uzbek. So this is a big giant alliance network here. So if we actually sort of ally them too, it's very unlikely these guys will be attacked because they'll have such a strong alliance network. We're a historical rival, apparently. So apparently allying them is just a no-go. Just a no-go. But Nogai, Nogai, are you allied to Uzbek still? Are you part of this alliance network? They are. Wow. This is really good. So actually, Nogai could be really kind of an interesting alliance, right? They're willing to accept an alliance. Again, I'm just that's how I'm assessing things, right? I'm just looking at who's allied to who, and I don't want Kazan to attack Nogai because that would call us into a defensive war. I'd rather not help our allies if I don't have to, but us being allied to Nogai having a really strong alliance network, that means that will deter people from attacking them. That will deter people from attacking them, so by allying Nogai, hopefully no one will attack them, and we won't have to sort of maintain our... I know, I'm kind of thinking kind of selfishly, right? Like, I'm thinking, like, I don't really want to come up there and help them. I want them to help us, but we don't. The thing is, that's kind of like what Europa Universalis, a diplomatic system, is like, especially for a player, right? From a player's perspective, that's kind of just what we're doing here. You know what I'm actually kind of thinking over here is we have our navy, and there's a number of things we need to assess here because I'm seeing they have some ships here. They have 6 galleys right here. we only have 7 galleys. So their navy is not that much smaller than ours, despite the fact that our country is so much more massive, right? We're getting our troops into the position. We can see they only have 4,000 troops. Super easy, right? We'll be able to actually swoop in there and get a battle with them early and sort of take them out. Presumably, Ramazan is not very strong either because they only have 1 province, so they're pretty weak too. But Crimea, we need to look up and see what's the dealio with Crimea. What is the combined force of these troops? And here's the interesting thing is, now there's a new sort of way of actually looking this up, which is kind of cool. There's actually kind of a new way to look this up. But what I'm going to show you guys is the ledger. I'm just getting our troops into position here. I'm getting our diplomat back because we're going to need our diplomat to declare war and sort of get to the point where we can actually make an assessment here. Nogai wants to royal marry us. Little notification right here. Sure, right on. That gave us a new queen. Okay. These guys are getting into position. Great. Let's get the general here because it looks like there's going to be a little bit of an ambush attack there. That's grasslands too. Nice. So we can click on these individual provinces to predict where the battle is going to happen. We're going to be sending 16,000 troops with a good general into a 2-star general out of 3, right? A good general into Sinop, attacking into 4,000 men. This is going to be a pretty decisive battle, I suspect. And then we'll presumably also be sending some troops in to the hills here in order to kind of deal with that. I'm actually going to grab those guys to kind of move up there and move these guys down here so they can potentially start to kind of work on getting down to Ramazan. If I pronounce something correctly, it's an accident, guys. If you know what I'm saying. So we can hit declare war, and we have a reason for war. We have a casus belli. We have a cause for war. It's conquest against these 2 provinces. Let's go. We didn't have to build this up ourselves, right? We have a reason for war. Now here's the thing. It tells you down here their combined armies. Their combined armies are only 15,000. That's pretty weak sauce compared to our combined armies are 35,000. Right? Let's go. This is good. This is good. We have a significantly more armies than them. This is this is brand new, added in the most recent update. Brand new. This will tell you right away what's the dealio here. It even breaks it down into all these different, like it says specifically Crimea has 9,000 of these. In fact, it only looks like these guys down here only have 2,000 troops. That's it. Only 2,000 troops. Now here's another way that we can kind of look this up though. If we just let's just see Nogai. Like we wanted to ally Nogai. How do I know how many troops Nogai has? Well, we can go to the ledger, and we can go to military, and we can go to army. The ledger's down here in the bottom right. Very important button. Very important button to kind of like to plan out what you want to do and how you want to do it. I like to, when you go to armies, I like to just sort by the force limit because this is the largest potential, army that someone can field, right? Austria can build an army up to 63,000 troops. The AI won't go over this number. Of course, as a player, we talked about how you can go over this number if you're willing to pay more. The AI typically never goes over this number, typically. So 63,000, but we can expect that if they're in a wartime situation, they will take loans. They will do whatever it takes to get up to that number, to defend themselves and to fight the wars and stuff like that. So Austria, 63,000 potential army, right? Mamluks actually, whoa, we rival the Mamluks. They have a bigger potential army than we do. Holy cow. The Mamluks are strong. They can go up to 45,000. They have a 30,000 in their standing army right now. 10,000 manpower, right? The amount of reserves they have. So if this number goes to 0, that means that even if they want to have a bigger army, they might get whittled down. Manpower reserves are very, very important. Ours are actually kind of low right now, considering the size of our army, but we know that that's going to be going up, and hopefully we won't lose too many guys in this war. But what we could do is we could search by rivals and see Venice. Venice has 20,000 troops, 24,000 potential. Hungary has 18,000 troops, 25,000 potential. We can look for, we could search for specific countries like Crimea. So in Crimea, they have 9,000 troops and 13,000 manpower. This is not a problem, right? This is a war that the Ottomans are meant to win. This is a war that the Ottomans are meant to win, especially if we can incapacitate 2 of the countries, 2 of the participants right away, and then we can kind of one-on-one deal with Crimea. That's going to be our strategy here. We have a diplomat that is not doing anything. Our coast has also been raided, which is kind of unfortunate. So we have some pesky little. I think we have some pesky little countries. I don't know if it's the Berbers down here, the pirates down here, or what. But we have some countries that are coming and raiding our coasts. I don't know who exactly is doing that. I guess it would have told us, wouldn't it? But someone's raiding our coast and stealing our sailors and stealing our money and stuff like that. It's nothing we can really defend against that well without a more powerful navy to defend against pirates. We don't really have the light ships. Light ships are really good at doing that. What could we be doing with our diplomat? Like, who do we potentially want to butter up? There's just so many like smaller nations here, and to be honest, it's not the worst thing in the world. Like we could try to ally a jam, but they're close to QQ, so there could be some. I assume that these guys are probably, yeah, these guys are rivaled together, so we don't want to ally the people that are rivals of rivaled, or sorry, our allies of rivaled. We could try to work on the Timurids potentially. They're kind of far away though. We're working on Poland, but I don't know if that's going to work out for us or not. I mean, Poland. What's the likelihood of us getting an alliance here? Too many diplomatic relations. Poland has too many diplomatic relations. They've already filled up their diplomatic relationship slots. They have a neutral attitude, a low amount of trust. They just have a poor opinion of us. We might be able to actually turn this around. We might be able to turn this around. They like the fact that we have a strong military, which is kind of nice. Sometimes the AI, they're neutral right now, but if we butter them up a little bit, they might flip to friendly. They might flip to friendly. So we're going to kind of just hold on with that diplomat there. What we could be doing, spy network. What could we be doing with this spy network potentially? Or our diplomat, which we could use to build a spy network, right? But we're going to get free claims on these guys down here once we take Constantinople. And we're already building a spy network on Constantinople and on Byzantium. Oh, Tunis. We talked about Tunis. Yeah, we talked about Tunis. Let's ally them. And see, we could actually evaluate them. Like, how strong is Tunis? Would they be a good ally? So that's right. We wanted to look up Nogai too, right? How strong is Nogai? 18,000 troops. That's not bad. Again, we're a very powerful nation, so it's going to be very hard for us to find people that are as powerful as us. But hey, 20,000 troops. That's no joke. So Nogai's not bad. Tunis. What are you looking like? Tunis, 19,000 potential, right? 19,000 potential. So in a wartime situation, they'll go up to 19,000. Pretty good. And that's, and assuming we ally these nations, they can continue to grow stronger with they can benefit from our alliance. I think we have the diplomatic relationship slot, don't we? Yeah, we do. I think we ally Tunis and we kind of shore that up. We're working on we're working on making QQ like us more. Eventually, Tunis is going to be our ally. Nogai's our ally. Poland, we'll have to see. If we can get the alliance with Poland, we might snag it, but it's probably not likely just because there's too many differences ideologically. But we are getting ready for war. We've evaluated Kandar and their allies. We know how many troops they have. We kind of know their situation. We know where they're located. Okay. We can see, actually, one thing we might want to look at is clicking on their provinces. We could try to find their forts. So it looks like they do not have a fort. Ramazan does not have a fort in Adana. There's no fort here. They have a capital fort. So your capital always has a very rudimentary fort. So they have the capital fort. They do not have an actual castle. So it should be pretty easy to siege down a capital fort without a proper castle fortification. Crimea, they do have a fort. They have a fort here in their capital of Crimea. Otherwise, I'm just kind of clicking here. You can either look at the garrison number or you can look at the building slots. The other thing you could do is you could just go to the fort map mode, but it's kind of confusing because it's like, okay, is this part of Crimea? No, this is Theodoro. Is this part of Crimea? No, this is part of someone else. You see what I'm saying? So I kind of like, just kind of clicking on the provinces. When they're small, it's easy to do that. When they're big, it's a little bit more annoying. But if they're really big, it's easy to tell, like, if the forts are theirs or not, right? There's a fort. Yeah, the Golden Horde has 2 forts, right? So we can just sort of look at that map mode and see that. So it looks like there is a fort on Crimea. That's going to be a little bit of a pain because it'll take a certain amount of time to siege that down, and that'll be... We'll see how that works. We'll see how that inhibits our movement, actually, when the time comes. I'm just going to get these guys into position because I really want them to be able to swoop down here nice and quick. That's going to be the goal here. Oh, they're kind of... Okay, they're doing something here. They're doing something here that I don't like. They know the AI knows we're about to attack them. The AI knows we're about to attack them. They haven't gotten any additional allies. They still only have the 2 allies. That's good. So they've moved into the hills. They've moved into the hills to defend. That's fine. We'll still beat them. We'll still beat them. Let's attack. It's time. It's time. So we get to pick a war goal. So the war goal can either take this province or take this province. It doesn't really matter too much. This is indeed a fort, though. This is a fort, so we can make it for the non-fort so that we can take it quicker. If we make it for the... So Sinop is a fort. We could take it for... Let's make the war goal for this province that they're standing on, and we'll be able to take that quickly, and we'll see how that works in war. So there we go. We're totally okay. None of our allies are willing to join. There's big X's here to say they will not join. They will not join. There's reasons why they won't. It's a distant war. They have poor manpower. We don't owe them any favors. Or they don't owe us... Tunis doesn't owe us any favors, yeah. So we need to build up favors with our alliances. This is a really big part of the diplomatic system in this game, is that by having a long-term alliance with the guy, having a long-term alliance with these guys, we're building favors. In fact, we build one favor every year. Every year we build one favor, and that's based on our size compared to their size. If we're much smaller than them, we'll build up favors every few years. But if we're much larger than them, we're building favors every single year. I mean, maybe we can build favors multiple times per year. I'm not sure. But one per year we'll get a favor with no guy. That means it's basically going to be 10 years before we can ask these guys to help us in a war. That's part of building up the trust, building up the reasons. And it makes sense because the Ottomans, like, just being in an alliance together, we're sort of just doing we're just helping each other out a little bit. Maybe we're just doing just little favors, right? We're just doing little things for each other. And it's slowly being represented as this favor system. And these favors are what we use to actually call these people into war. It's what we use to call these people into war. Looks like Tunis wants a royal marriage. Don't see any reason why not to do that. Time to attack. Time to attack. Clicking on Kandar. Clicking on the unfortified province is the war goal, so that's going to be nice and easy to take. Their allies will join. Their allies will join. Ramazan almost doesn't even want to join because they have a good opinion of us. They don't want to fight us. They want to befriend us. They don't want to fight us. But unfortunately, it is a defensive war, so they will still defend. The war is on. Let's send these guys in. Let's send these guys down to here if we get military access. So that's the thing. We can't get these guys down here. What we're going to have to do is we're going to actually have to ask for military access potentially, which is something we can do. So we do not have access to come down here. It says land movement blocked by a hostile fort. It's asking if we'd like to automatically transport with our ships. No, I don't think we want to send these guys to the sea and transport with our ships. No, that doesn't sound like a good plan. We need military access. So we can ask these guys for military. We are at war. Clear way. We are the Ottomans. We're at war with this nation right here. Clear way. They will give us military access probably because of a number of reasons. Like they don't have a side in this war, so to speak. They don't want to inhibit us, and they probably want to make us happy because we're big scary Ottomans here. So we are moving down to sort of stand on this province and engage the enemy that's here. So what I'm going to do, here's what happened. We won the battle here. We didn't actually pay attention. It ended so quickly. We only lost 500 guys. We lost 450 guys there. And there's a summary of that at the end of the battle. I just remember we had 21,000. We're at 20,500. So this is only requiring, if we look at this here, it only has regiments needed is 1. Okay? Regiments needed here is 9,000 because there's a fort here and some other things. We only need 1 regiment here. We're also going to be taking attrition in this province because it's an enemy province. So we're going to be taking attrition here, but it's going to take essentially it's going to take basically a month to siege this province, to clear this province out and to occupy it in the war, to occupy it as an Ottoman war occupation. It's going to take us 30 days to do that because there's no fort. What we're going to see is if we split this off, if we split these guys and send some of them to work on the fort over here, we're going to notice... Actually, you know what? Here, wait a second. I'm thinking a few things here. We know that these guys cost more to reinforce. I don't want these guys to be taking a lot of attrition on the fort because the fort is going to be a certain amount of attrition. So let's actually make a sieging group here. Make a sieging group of these 10,000 sort of normal troops. Let's send them over here to start sieging Sinop, and we're going to see how long that's going to take. That's going to take a while. That's going to take a while. We do have Crimea over here, but it's going to take them a while to get down here. And hopefully we'll be able to sort of... No! Okay. Unfortunately, we had... Our ships are being really silly. Our ships are being really silly. We had ships protecting trade and they got ambushed. That is really unfortunate. That is super unfortunate. We do have enemy ships over here. We could try to engage them. But there is just like a lot of ships here. I don't know what we should do. We could try to... This is interesting, right? Okay, so we have these 14,000 guys moving into here. There's only 2,000 dudes here. This will be a clean battle. We don't have a general here. That's usually very scary. There's no leader on this. They don't have a leader. Leaders are incredibly powerful. These guys have a leader that's 2 fire and 1 shock. But unfortunately, there's just, unfortunately for them, there's just such overwhelming odds there that it should be a pretty clean battle regardless. Here we can see that this province is 100%. Just we need to wait 30 days, we take it. This province here, we're at a negative 64% chance to take this. That's because it's a siege, like you go through the siege cycles. Every 30 days, we're going to roll some dice and we might make progress, right? We might make a little bit of progress. We have to work our way up on these sieges. We have to progress up. So we're on phase 1. We're in phase 1. And essentially as we succeed in rolling the dice and getting the right modifiers and stuff, we can actually sort of start to add a total value to this and start working this down and sort of progressing on this and stuff like that. So what we could do is we have our fleet here. We can disengage it and fight these ships right here in the sea. Straits of Marmara. But before we do that, we might want to get an admiral, right? We have a land general. We do not have an admiral. So we can recruit an admiral for diplo points. Okay, so we need diplomatic power to recruit an admiral. Let's do it. 50, I mean, it's kind of a bummer to have to do this because 50 diplo is used for a lot of good things, right? That's slowing us down technically on getting technologies and stuff. But we got a 1, 2, 1. Okay, you know, so positive modifiers there. And that means that when we go into, and we'll see how this battle goes. Right now I'm just seeing about 8 ships here, right? They do have a lot of ships over here they might try to reinforce with. They do have ships over here they might try to reinforce with, but I'm hoping to kind of sneak attack them really quickly here. We'll have to see how that goes. So we're paused right now, right guys? And we're going to let it run. Speed 2, just kind of letting it run here. We can see if these ships are going to try to like engage. It looks like they are going to send additional ships. Looks like those are just transports though. You're only sending your transports? I don't know if transports are going to be able to do much in that battle, to be honest. We can see right here, if we click on this battle, we can see that we have 7 galleys. They have 5. They have some light ships. This isn't great. Like, I'm not going to lie, this isn't great. We might need to disengage this. Right now, this is our health bar. Our morale is pretty high, and theirs is definitely lower. Definitely lower. But as they reinforce with these cogs, that'll kind of bolster them a little bit. We might need to actually back out of here. This might have been a bad battle. This might have been a bad battle, so we could retreat on May 11th. I don't want to lose any ships here if we can help it. So let's actually just retreat there. And then we can repair. We can keep trying to sneak attack them a little bit. That's fine. We have a battle down here. And basically the way the battles work is you go through like units have different amounts of shock and fire. And it's not really that important, but essentially cavalry are mostly like they just do shock damage early on in the game. So, and then the infantry do a little bit of fire damage, but for the most part the infantry are just the grunts. They're just kind of there absorbing damage and just brawling it out. The cav are the ones doing the heavy damage. So during the shock phase, this is why the shock phase is a little bit more important. Right now we're rolling some dice and then we're being modified by our fire. So, and they also are taking a -1 because it's sorry, I apologize. We're taking a -1 because we're crossing a river. So if we had more maneuverability, we could have overcame that. If we had maneuverability, that's what maneuverability does, is it helps us avoid river crossings. We don't have a general, so we have no maneuverability here. We do have more morale than them. We have more discipline than them. All good things. In fact, I'm actually kind of amazed that they actually have 5% discipline at all. We have overwhelming amount of troops here, so this should still be, we should just be able to brute force them, but we are probably going to take heavier losses than them in terms of just total like troop count losses, except for the fact the cav might end up saving us here. But we've rolled a 4 -1, so we have a 3 here. If we had a good leader that could modify, that could help modify this negative modifier, and also in case we get a bad roll. Like they only rolled a 3, but they also have a better general, so they've actually sort of made that into a 5. We're at a 3, they're at a 5. So they're going to do a little bit better there. Proportional to how many troops they have, right? We still overwhelm them massively. Massively overwhelm these guys. And that's just going to be a clean battle. That was just one of those situations where there's too many. There was just too many guys. And I'm going to take our cavalry off because they're kind of expensive and I don't want them dying for no reason. So I'm going to move them off and we'll let these 10,000 sit here and siege this. That is going to take a while. No joke. That is going to take a while to be able to siege that. What we can do is we can rejoin up these troops and these troops, sort of make another little unit over here while these guys are sieging, and we can try to go and actually see if we can encounter Crimea at all. We could see if Crimea has actually built up any more troops. Nope, they still have 9,000. So if we go, we haven't clicked on this button yet, but this tells us we're at war. This tells us we are at war. This tells us the war score. Right now we're at -6. We're technically losing the war. We're losing the war, which is kind of crazy considering we're actually winning the war, right? It's probably evaluating the fact that we're being blockaded. So we're being actively blockaded by ships, and that contributes to a certain amount of war score. Looks like an event has happened here. So I'm assuming this is coming from the blockade. Because we've gotten some war score by winning those battles, gives us some war score. We also, most importantly, the war goal. The war goal is to take the province that we have taken. It's the thing we have quote unquote siege this province. There's no fort here, but we've occupied this province by standing on it for 30 days. It is now our province. Sort of. We don't control it. We have to take this in the peace deal, but we have occupied it until, the end of the war. And then that's the point when we can decide that we want to take it into our country permanently. Demanded in the treaty. But right now we have the war score. So we're going to be getting a ticking war score every month. We get progress towards winning the war. In fact, this can go up to plus 25%. So this -7, if we just wait long enough, we'll actually get this up to a much higher number. And essentially 100% is like an unconditional surrender. It's like you've completely sieged them out. One of the reasons why we're not going to be able to get them very high, we need to take their capital, right? Their capital still holds strong. They're still defending their main province with their fortification. So that's going to be a while. And right, we can see here -57%. We're making progress. We're making progress, but it's still taking time to get this done. It's taking time to get this done. We're about to finish a siege cycle. Status quo. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. What is the chance of a status quo? I don't know what the chance of a status quo is there. I see, but there's there can be a disease outbreak. There could be a supply shortage. There could be food shortages. There could be water shortages. Defender's desert, right? Like all kinds of things could be happening during these sieges, and all those things will factor into ultimately getting us the progress we need to ultimately take the fortification. Okay, so I'm just rejoining our armies here really quick, guys. Sorry, there's a lot going on, and we're going pretty dang slow. But at the same time, we're, maybe not going as slow as we should. This is kind of a bummer. We also have a lazy this is reminding me we have a lazy diplomat, because our opinion of QQ, who is our ally, by the way, is going down by -75. Like, what? We're friends with these guys. What the heck? You know what I mean? Apparently, apparently there's been a divorce. There was a royal marriage and there's been a divorce. Ottomans gain diplomatic insult. Guys, come on. We're buddies over here, guys. I think we don't like them, but they still like us. Their opinion of us is still positive. We really need to throw some oil on troubled waters here. Seriously, we need to butter these guys up and make them happy. And hopefully they'll try to send their diplomat to do the same. Because those guys are, I don't know. We can see our economy is doing decently, as in we're still making money even though we're at war. That's good. That's good, because we are going to be paying more money for our troops in order to reinforce the armies, right? We're taking attrition here. We're taking a 1% attrition on this siege. I'm actually surprised it's not more than that, to be honest. We're in enemy territory and we're sieging. Usually sometimes it's even higher than that. Over here it's a 1% as well. So we're losing 1% of our dudes that are standing here. That's 100 dudes per month. That's actually not too bad. It's not too bad. We're reinforcing fully, and we're actually gaining a little bit of manpower. We're netting some manpower here. Well, of course, if we go over here and we do some battles, though, there's no way to get to Crimea. There's no way to actually get to Crimea. So how do we do this? What we should do, we're over, a number of, let's look at our notifications really quick. There's a number of things going on. It's chaos, guys, chaos. But we are, you know what, I feel like we're winning this war, right? We're sieging down some forts. We cannot reach Crimea. We do not have military access to them. That means that they don't have military access to us. If they had military access to us, we would be able to piggyback off their military access. It's one of the really, really nice things about the game is that if they can get to us, we can get to them. So there's no like one-sidedness there, which is really, really nice. So if we can't get there, they can't come to us. If they're just hanging out, we're just hanging out. We're technically winning the war. There's no threats to our land right now. They can't get to our, Crimea can't get to our land, can't get to our country. Like we can't get to theirs, and then we're still sieging these guys out. So we should probably siege these guys out, and then we can turn towards Crimea and figure out a way to get to Crimea through diplomatically asking for military access and stuff like that. We'll see if we can get military access up here to Crimea and go beat them up a little bit, get them out of the war. I think we're going to take a quick break here, guys. We've started the war. We evaluated the situation. We've unpaused the game. We have our diplomats kind of doing stuff, which is important. You don't want lazy diplomats. We've won the battle on land, but we're losing the battle on the seas, to be fair, right? Maybe we need to build some more galleys. I don't know. Our navy is definitely lacking for how big of a mass, how big of a power we are, right? We might need some more galleys, guys. Thanks everybody for watching. I will see you guys in the next one, and we'll clean up this war. We'll talk about peace deals. We'll talk about how you sort of finish a war and things like that. So I'll see you guys in the next one.